Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Again, it's been a little while since I have actually pulled the camera out and decided to do a vlog because, well, between, work and school, other things going on, this is a pretty quiet Sunday, so I figured I'd make a video. Right now the weather is actually pretty decent today. It's probably close to 50 some degrees. We have already had our first taste of winter. By the way, today is November 10th. I don't know when this is going to air, but as of right now, it's November 10th. We have already had our first wintry situation, which consisted of just a little bit of snow on the ground, but black ice everywhere. It was just this past Friday, and we had bad road conditions. People in Northeast Ohio tend to forget how to drive when they have that first snow and that first ice. So there were accidents everywhere. It took me a good 40 minutes maybe to get to work on a 15-minute drive roughly. So I mean, it was bad. It was bad Friday morning for a lot of people. But yeah, so we're back in the 50s, and we're supposed to have another wintry mix coming up on tomorrow night. So we're supposed to start off with rain, it's supposed to turn to sleet, to snow, and it's supposed to snow throughout the night. So I'm sure Tuesday morning's commute is going to be fantastic. I keep getting lighting issues, I'm sorry. So, that being said, we're heading into winter real quick. And when it comes to winter and such, you obviously want to be prepared. You want to have, maybe some proper tires on your vehicle if you don't have all-season tires, or at least make sure that your tires are good. Make sure you have a decent amount of tread. Make sure your brakes are checked and stuff. Make sure your oil's clean. But, the big thing, of course, is your battery. So I've decided to kind of take a new toy that I got through school, through my classes, and I decided that maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to check all three of my vehicle's batteries just to give me something to do and to see exactly what the condition of all of the batteries really are. So that being said, we're going to be using my new Snap-on multimeter. This is actually something that we've been working with in our classes lately. I am finally learning how to do some electrical stuff, so we've had these for a week. We've been kind of messing with them in class and whatnot, and I've decided, why not just check the voltage of all the batteries that are in all of the cars. Now, not all of the batteries, I believe, are bad. Obviously, the 15 Fiesta, its battery is brand new. It has only been in there for, I don't even think, an entire year yet. So we got that last winter, so it should be completely good. I did start that this morning. I had to move it, so that isn't really going to give us like a cold start reading as far as seeing where the voltage drops to. The Aztek has been driven more than the Fusion lately. It has a $35 junkyard battery in it. This battery seems to be phenomenal. On all the cold mornings that we have had so far, the Aztek has fired up flawlessly, quickly. So for a $35 battery, and I think the battery was still manufactured in 2016, I've been really surprised so far with the cold temperatures that we've had. It seems to be a strong battery. The Fusion, on the other hand, the 15 Fusion, I do believe still has its original battery from when it was manufactured, and our temperatures have not gotten, it's been cold, but it hasn't been cold for long. I'm talking like, maybe upper 20s, lower 30 degree mark, and the cranking on the Fusion seems to be getting a little slow already. So I think last winter I noticed that the Fusion is eventually going to need a battery. But we're gonna save this for last, especially because I have not started this car up since Thursday. It hasn't been driven, and like I said, today's Sunday, so it has been sitting here for the last couple days untouched, with the exception of me grabbing my multimeter out of it just now. So we're going to save that one for last. I want to see where the battery voltage is sitting at, what it is holding at, and then on all of the cars we're going to check to see where our voltage is sitting, and then we're going to crank them. Like I said, the Fiesta has been started already, so we're not really going to get a cold, crank out of it, but the Aztek and the Fusion have not been started today. So we'll do the Fiesta first. We'll hook the multimeter up to the battery, and we'll see where the charge is sitting, and then we'll see what happens when we crank it over, and go from there. That's the one nice thing about going to these automotive classes is I'm getting stuff that I've always wanted, good stuff. I mean, Snap-on is a really good brand, pretty expensive brand. I think this meter is maybe close to $300 maybe, but it's all included in my tuition. So I've finally got a good, voltmeter, or multimeter I should say, and it's something that I've always wanted one of these things, because I've always wanted to kind of learn how to trace electrical issues, how to test things, and yeah, this is just the beginning, I guess. So eventually I'm going to be getting a power probe at some point in time through the class. I'm going to probably end up getting a lot of awesome tools that I don't have now. I do have a little cheap, like, Harbor Freight multimeter. I don't think it ever worked though, because one of the contacts inside, the first time I used it, I went to go push the connector into the actual multimeter, and it pushed inward. I think the board actually inside the multimeter is loose or something, and it's not making contact. So I'm glad to finally have a good one. So let me go ahead and finish taking this apart and get it set up, and we'll see where we're sitting with this battery. Alright, so on the Fiesta, the battery is actually pretty easy to get to. It's obviously right here. Both of our terminals are actually pretty easy to get to on this car. So if you're doing this at home, this is actually a pretty simple thing to do. If you're using the any kind of multimeter, basically we're just going to hook our negative lead to the ground side of the battery, and we're going to hook our red positive leads to the positive side. As far as the meter itself, obviously the negative is going to go into the COM, or the black side of the meter, and then your positive one is going to go over on the side with, like, the V, the ohms, and the hertz, basically V for voltage. So it's actually pretty simple to figure out. And then from there, when you turn your voltmeter on, or your multimeter, we're going to go to the DC, volts DC, which in this case is going to be the one with the straight line. So the meter will turn on. My particular meter is going to say DC on the display, and then if you go to the one with the wavy line, that's all alternating current. There's still a lot that I'm trying to learn and whatnot. So yeah, from there we'll just put our little probes onto the battery terminals, and from there we will be checking to see where we sit. In this case, this also came with alligator clips. I'm not sure if all multimeters do or not, but I'm going to use the alligator clips to kind of clip onto the bolts of the battery terminals, because I don't know how well these little probes are going to actually stay. So I got that on there. We'll see if we get any kind of reading. And we are. So, alright, right now, yeah, okay, so right now, it looks like this battery is sitting at 12.2, roughly 12.3 volts, which is good because your battery technically should be around 12.6. So 12.6 volts is what a fully charged battery should be sitting at. So 12.2 isn't bad because we haven't really had it running. It hasn't been charged for long. I had it started just long enough to move it from one side of the driveway to the other. Okay, so now I'll try to set this so maybe it could be seen. I don't know if you guys can see that, maybe. Alright, so at 12.2, I'm going to go ahead and start it up, and we'll see where this tanks while it's under a load with the starter. Alright, so as you can see right now it's up 14.6, almost 14.7. That's because the alternator is obviously taking over, so the battery is being charged back up to this. And let's see. So yeah, it's reading at 14.7. I tried to look out the window. I think it was maybe around 11 or so. So as long as it doesn't get below 9.6. 9.6 is usually the area that they tell you, hey, your battery is garbage. Or that should be the very minimum. So from there, probably gonna want a battery. So that's why I'm curious to see exactly what the Fusion's battery is gonna read at. So it looks like this is good. It's charging well. Go ahead and disconnect our leads now. And we'll move on to the next one. Alright, we'll do the Aztek next. You can see this is just from one day. This is from the day, like I said, that we had the ice and stuff everywhere, so they laid down the salt, and the Aztek is salty. That's just from the first day of salt on the road. So that's why the Fusion still looks so clean. It hasn't been out in the salt yet. So we'll go ahead and open it up and check this one. Now the battery on the Tech, of course, is buried over here, and it's got side post battery terminals. So the alligator clips on your meter, if you're testing a side post, are definitely going to benefit you. So I got to try to wiggle on down there and try to hook it up. Like I said, this is a $35 junkyard battery that I bought for this vehicle. This is the third battery that's been in this car since I've had it. But I wasn't driving the car, so I think both of the other batteries that I had were they turned to garbage. And this battery seems to be extremely well. November of 16, so the battery is exactly 3 years old this month. And it, like I said, it is performing really well. So I'm not really expecting there to be a low drop once we crank the starter over. It seems to be doing pretty well. So let me hook that up. I'll set the meter out. Hopefully you guys will be able to see it, and we'll go from there. Okay, so got the alligator clips on. They're small, but they seem to be holding pretty well. So this battery is sitting at 12.38, almost 12.4 volts, slightly better than the Fusion's battery. So at least I know that it's holding a good charge. At this point, we're gonna go ahead and crank it over and see what happens. By the way, if it drops a little bit, obviously, before we start it, that's probably because I'm opening the door, the dome light's coming on when I turn the key over. Other functions of the car are starting up and turning on. So if there's a slight drop, even before the starter is cranked, obviously that is going to be our reasons why. So let's go ahead and start the tech up and see where this drops to. Alright, so you can see how strong the Aztek seems to start up. It doesn't crank over long. Even when it's cold, when it's, you know, like it's in the 20s. One of the mornings I believe, and it was in the 20s, and the car started up flawlessly. So as you can see, alternator seems to be doing well. It's charging it up to almost 14.7 volts. And she's been doing pretty well. So I'll go ahead and disconnect this, and we'll see how the fusion is after sitting for a few days without being touched at all. As you can see, once the car is turned off and the alternator's not running, everything's shutting down, the battery voltage drops, as it should. And it should be sitting somewhere roughly about where it was when we hooked it up. Maybe slightly more since it got, you know, a little bit of a charge, but, you know, if it sits up, so... yeah, so it looks like around 12.6 roughly. So I think for the most part that's a pretty healthy battery. Not a bad find for $35. I'm quite happy with this battery. Alright, and finally, the 15 Ford Fusion. Yeah, I haven't been driving this one because I've mainly been using the Fusion lately on my commutes to and from school. The school takes about 45 minutes to get to from here. A lot of highway driving, and I just don't want the mileage to be too far, you know, ahead. I don't want the mileage on the Fusion to really get racked up. So I've mainly been using the Fusion to go to school, and then to work and everywhere else. The Aztek has been my go, you know, my get around vehicle, I guess, you know, my city commuter, I guess, as you know, whatever you want to say. So I'm trying to keep the Fusion down, but like I said, you know, Friday and yesterday and so far today, you know, the Fusion hasn't been touched, whereas the Aztek has been driven every day. So the battery is, like I said, pretty sure it's the original battery from when the car was assembled, when it was, you know, first bought new. Actually, when was the date that this Fusion was manufactured? September of 2014. So my Fusion was manufactured in 2014. There's a chance that that battery is also from 2014. So it is a 5-year-old battery. Like I said, we've had some really cold days, and so far, when it gets slightly cold, the cranking on the Fusion sort of gets a little slow. So that's why I'm thinking it's probably getting close to replace the battery. Battery's not too hard to get to, obviously. We're going to remove this cap here. And the ground, I can get to the ground with the little alligator clip, but it's kind of under the cowl. If I really wanted to have full access at the battery, I could always undo the bolt here, take the thing out and slide the battery outward, but we don't have to do that. The other ground is here, actually. So there's a ground there, but I think we'll be able to get directly to the battery. let's go ahead and hook our alligator clips up and see what our reading, just from it sitting here, what our reading is going to be. I'm sorry about all the noises. There are blowing leaves next door. So we'll set our meter up here so you guys can see. Let's see if that comes out. So that. Yeah, you guys can see that. Try to see if we can hook this up here. Maybe. Hopefully that'll be good contact. If not, I can maybe stick the actual probe into there. See if we can reach our ground. I think we can. So, alright, so it's sitting at 12.3, 12.4 almost. So that's not terrible. So it is still in our 12 volt range. Let's go ahead and see what happens when we crank it over. So again, I wasn't able to see what the exact reading was. I'll have to watch the video. But right now it's charging at 14.8. Holding steady at 14.8 roughly. That seems to be its happy place at the moment. First time, like I said, it's been started in almost 3 days. My neighbors probably think I'm weird. I got every hood right now on the car open. Holding that 14.8. So good. Alternator's good. Battery, I won't know until I look at what that dip was. That's it. I just thought that would be a cool little experiment. We'll go ahead and shut it off and disconnect it. So this is the little multimeter that I had. This is the one from like Harbor Freight, and you know, there's a lot of functions on this particular meter here. It looks like, you know, we probably could have used it, but like I said, something about, you know, you push this in there, but it doesn't feel like it wants to stay in there. The connectors are a little different, but I don't know, it just never worked. When I was trying to use it. Well, it's not working now, so maybe the battery's dead, I don't know. But when I turn it on, you know, I'd get a little readout, but if I tried to hook it up to something, it never got a reading. So I feel like something inside here where these connect is broken. But as you can see, it's actually a pretty easy test to conduct on your battery if you're somebody, you know, if you're a DIYer, and you know, you can really, you know, buy a $5 multimeter like this to do a battery check if you know, you don't want to take it somewhere or whatnot. So it's actually a pretty simple thing to do. So got all of 3 of our batteries tested today, and I'm gonna clean all this up, and I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to clean all this up. Alright, and that's pretty much how you guys check your battery condition using a simple digital multimeter. once I get pretty decent at using this thing, there are other things that I want to obviously test for, especially when it comes to the Aztek. We obviously have a couple of other electrical things that I want to try to figure out. We got to replace the fan blower resistor under the dash. Pretty sure that's the problem, but I'm going to try to maybe test the actual switch itself using maybe continuity testing on the meter and whatnot. So I mean, there's just things that I'm excited to kind of use when it comes to this. I've always wanted one of these things, a good one anyway. I learned more about this stuff, getting into things like wiring diagrams and circuitry and stuff that I've wanted to learn for a while when it comes to a vehicle. So yeah, so far I am really glad that I decided to enroll back into school for auto technology, and yeah, I'm still looking forward to a lot of things in these courses. But guys, that's it. So yeah, at least I know what the condition of all three cars are at the moment. When it gets colder, like a steady cold, we'll come back to this, and maybe we'll revisit all this. We'll film what the readings are when the temperatures are down to the 30s, 20s, and maybe even teens, consistently, not just warm day, cold day, warm day. Once it's cold, we'll come back to this and see how different our readings are. But that's it, guys. So I want to thank you guys for joining. If you guys enjoyed this, if you guys found it helpful at all, if you wanted to do this yourself and whatnot, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe, and also check out teespring.com/stores/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. And that's really all that I have for today, guys. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you again so much for tuning in, and take care.